Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Well, it's a nice sunny Monday morning, or as they would say on Hogan's Heroes. In fact, I know the one episode, old Hogan walks into Colonel Klink's office, says, "Good morning, Colonel. It's a beautiful day. The sun's shining, the birds are singing." And old Colonel Klink says, "If I want a weather report, I'll turn on the radio." But anyway, we're heading out here to our 120-acre field of no-till beans. And this is the last field for 2025. We'll hope to get this done today. But since it's all one big square field, that's easily doable. So we're right around about 7:30 in the morning and heading out here. So I'll bring you in when we pull in the field. Okay, just pulled in the field, and as you can see, we have the planter on the red tractor. I can tell you one thing, it definitely handles the planter a whole lot better than the 8070 does. Okay, just got unfolded here. Of course, if you saw my video where I did showing how a Kinze planter operates, then you've already seen all this. But he'll get that the tongue telescoped in, and then I'll shorten it up and then be ready to take off. But yeah, like I say, this here's a 120-acre field of no-till. Okay, there the tongues going together. That piece folding up on top, that's what holds the hydraulic lines all in place. Like I said, today's Monday. I came out Saturday and sprayed this with 2,4-D, so that's taking care of all the weeds. Now, regular soybeans, I think there's at least a 1-week waiting period between spraying 2,4-D and planting. However, since these are inlets beans, in fact, we've actually sprayed 2,4-D and planted the same day, if I remember correctly. Never had any problem. But don't take that as legal advice from me. Like I say, that's what's worked for us, because they're enlist beans. Alright, well, he's going to get back in the corner and take off, and I'll follow along behind here on the golf cart and make sure everything sounds good. Alright, he's off and going. And yes, everyone, before any of you comment, I know about the exhaust manifold leak again, which means taking that big hood off that tractor again and pulling the turbo, the exhaust manifold, and all that kind of good crap all back out of it and find out what's going on. So yes, I know about it. Okay, well, so far everything looks good back here, sounding good. Now, this planter does not have airbags for your down pressure. It's got down pressure springs that I adjust. This windshield on this golf cart gets kind of annoying. It keeps wanting to bounce and slap all over the place. But since this planter has no-till coulters on it, it does a good job going right through all this junk and heavy trash. But we've run this field here no-till for, oh wow, years, because it's muck. And you can see, compared to clay or anything else, but yeah, this old muck though, like I say, this field has been no-till for years. And you can see, muck doesn't compact. In fact, when it gets dried out, it's an extremely real fine soil texture when it gets dry. And it's like I said, it's real fine and almost like dust.
Putting the beans in the ground.
Well, I'm back here digging, but we should have beans going in the ground.
Oh, I'd sure like to put the chop on, chop all this there, clear down.
Now let's do a little digging here. Man, once you get them things in there, they're awful hard to find. Up there we go. There's a beanie. Right there's another one. But yeah, like I say, you can see how loose it is just simply from the no-till coulter, and that's why we've run this whole farm here in no-till practice for years. Years ago, you used to disc chisel it, and then it would get so loose and fine and real fluffy, so that it was just a pain. But yeah, running no-till beans, no-till corn, works perfect. Okay, he's getting turned around down there. We got a waterway that kind of goes out on an angle across the field down there. So he'll be heading back this way, then heading up along the east side. I'm back out here. You might be able to see Dad going across that south end over there by the highway. Took the golf cart back up the shed, grabbed the four-wheeler, came out here that way I can check tile inlets. I'm not exactly sure how they do it, but it seems like almost every year. A little bit of water down there. Like over the winter or something, it's almost like the deer get out here and knock them things off. But I know when I was out here spraying 2,4-D, I saw several that had the baskets kicked off of them. So I figured, well, he's out here planting, I'm gonna grab the four-wheeler and run around checking tiles and that kind of stuff. And so I'll bring you along here. I got my drone with me, so maybe I'll take him and grab a little drone footage here off and on as well. Okay, and here's an example of what I'm talking about. And somehow that basket got squished. Yeah, they get knocked off there. In fact, I might have to go grab another basket. We use these little fiberglass stakes. In fact, I actually get these at Rural King. You can also get them, I found them at Home Depot. But they got that white piece right there. It's like a reflective tape, and so at nighttime it stands out pretty good. Alright, well, you just saw Dad rolling there on the drone. I just got another mini bulk bag dumped into the left-hand box here on the seed cart. So going to head out here, take beans to him, and tell you what, I'll put the drone up in the air, and maybe I can try and do a voiceover and show how we take and load the planter. Maybe can give some different ideas to anybody else out there wondering about loading a Kinze split row. And so when I get out here to the field, I'll put the drone up and then try and get some. I'm not going to show loading and filling every box, but I can explain in the voiceover what we're doing. And yeah, like I say, I can't give anybody else out there wondering. Maybe he can give you some ideas as to how to load up a split row if you have one. There goes my neighbor, looks like. Okay, got the seed cart pulled up. We'll go ahead and turn that on. Although we'll just take and fill the boxes. The nice thing with this cart, it's got a scale, so you can punch in, for example, 50 pounds. Or if you want to go with an even 1 bushel per box, you can punch in 60 pounds and trip it to automatic, and it'll kick out 60 pounds per box. That's really nice. So we'll get the thing here fired up. And get the auger coming out. And like I say, when he gets back down here to this end with the planter, I'll put the drone up and go and try and carry my drone controller in a coffee can. That way I don't end up bumping a knob on the controller. We'll see how well that works. Okay, auger's out. We can go ahead and shut that down until he gets back down here, but since it's a 16 row planter, well, a 1631, going across in the back rows, what we do is we pull, and I'll explain this in the voiceover, we pull this across the back of the planter so that the auger here is sitting between rows number 4 and 5 on the left hand side. We fill up both the back and front half. Then we move to the right hand side of the planter and sit between rows number 12 and 13. And then do the same thing. And like I say, you'll see that in the drone footage. Okay, as you can see here, we put the markers out. That way it gets them out of the way. And then come in up behind the planter with the tractor and the seed cart. And like I said, we put it set it so that the seed cart auger is sitting in between rows number 4 and 5. That way you're half on the left half of the planter, you're right in the middle of that. So getting the boxes popped open up here. I got my coffee can holding my drone controller. But one nice thing with this planter, it's got that, it's like a cutout for what sometimes would have an insecticide box. In fact, our corn planter has those. But it actually has a cover that just covers that hole up. And it makes it nice to be able to walk right across here, or walk right behind the boxes. And so I just walk right across that as I'm filling it up. And works out good that way. Okay, I see some dust beginning to kick up, so the beans are rolling in. And like I say, I don't show filling every box. But yeah, okay, yeah, you saw me just step from row 1 to row 2. And like I say, I just walk right across there. Works perfect that way. Then Dad jumps up on the front, goes across, starts popping lids on the front boxes. And like I've said before, with this Kinze planter, it's got that double frame on the front. And it works perfect for this because you can walk right across there. It makes for a perfect walkway. And I have never seen that on any other planter at all. In fact, I've even had some Kinze guys tell me they've never seen it either. And so I'm not exactly sure what type of a setup it is, unless possibly some kind of Kinze idea from when the planter was built or something. I don't know. Okay, and now I am on what probably is box number 8, which is going to be in the middle of the planter, right behind that post. Got to shove that telescope in, then I walk back across, step up through, and now we go to box number 17 there on the front, because it goes number 1 through 16 from left to right across the back, then goes back to the left side, starting with row number 17 through number 31 on the right hand side. And Dad's coming along, shutting the lids, and then also giving each box some graphite. Okay, and now I'm in the middle on the front. Dad's already in the tractor. I see him in there. And then when I fill up that middle box, which is right in front of the post, I'll take and hold the tube up over. That way it can go right over top of the post. And that's the nice thing of it being with it telescoping, so it just telescopes in and out. And then he pulls the seed cart up in between row number 12 and 13. And then I just keep right on going across with the tube, filling up the boxes until I get down to row number 31. Okay, I'm on row number 31. And then same thing, when I get that one filled up, I'll just take and step back across and then go to row number 16 and start working my way back toward the middle. I guess maybe I should have swung the drone around on that end, but I think I do move it here. Okay, yeah, I got the drone swung around. And then we come back over to the middle boxes. And then once we get about 3 boxes from the middle, we'll take and shut the gate on the seed cart. That way it'll begin to run out before you get the last box. Otherwise, you're stuck with the auger tube full of beans trying to get the thing empty. And right here looks like, well, it would be row number 9. The cart ran out, and rather than try and sit there and play with the gate opening and closing it, Dad, we carry a couple 5-gallon buckets sitting on top of the cart jack. And so we just take beans right out of the bottom of the auger, because the auger will reverse. And that dumps the auger out, and I just take and pour them in the box. That's a simple, quick way to do it. And that works good for us. Okay, and there we go. Fold the auger back. Then I go across, finishing up closing lids and putting some graphite in. And that's how we load up our Kinze planter. So yeah, hopefully that gives you all some ideas, and hopefully it'll help anybody out there running a Kinze split row. right, well, he just took off with the planter, and I'm heading back up here to the shed with the seed cart. So you got to see how we load the planter. Well, we went from putting seed on the planter, now I'm in the tractor. So Dad's eating lunch, and so I'm running the planter while he's eating. I can tell you one thing, this red tractor's no comparison to the Alice 8070. Definitely has a lot more power to it. And the nice thing with the also compared to the 8070 Alice, it's got all the hand controls right here. So no lever, you just trip it back and forth with your finger. That makes it nice. You got the planter control box right there, so perfect. Monitor right there. And like I say, about 100, well, yeah, right at 100 horse more. Because the Alice has that, what's a Cummins 8.3, this thing's got a Cummins 8.9. Which I've actually had a couple different people tell me that the only difference between the 8.9 and 8.3 is the 8.9 has a different crankshaft, which probably gives it just a little more stroke on the pistons. Well guys, you saw the planter folding up there, and you saw the last few passes there on the drone. So that's got it. I'm here in the pickup truck following Dad back up the farm. So that's it. Plant 2025 is over. That can makes it nice. So hey, take care. Thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you next time.